Most major American cities rely heavily on the skill and labor of low-income workers. But the high cost of city living often forces them to choose between living in poverty or living somewhere else. Tonight, Mark Maxwell found one city making a concerted effort to make artists feel at home when he went to New Orleans, searching for solutions.
In the birthplace of jazz, you can't help but notice the character of a city that knows how to improvise.
New Orleans is the birthplace of the music that I think is the most important to our country.
Some play for tips out on Bourbon Street, others inside the swankiest jazz clubs at the poshest hotels in town. That's where we met Jeremy Davenport between sets in a bar with his name on the door, the Davenport Lounge.
This is my identity. You know, this is my dream scenario come true.
His dreams started out in his hometown, just up the river a ways.
There are a lot of jazz musicians that came out of St. Louis.
But not many stayed.
I had to leave St. Louis in order to make the kind of living I wanted to make playing music.
Here and there, the term starving artist struck a chord.
Poverty is a major drag.
Our search for solutions on revitalizing cities took us to the man who wrote the book, Press Kabakoff, a developer with a keen sense for affordable housing.
Rents, like every place else, have gone up dramatically. And so people are paying anywhere from 35 to 50% of their income, which is a killer.
You can't even afford to live downtown. You can't afford to live in New Orleans.
Jeremy Wilson is one of thousands of workers in the hospitality and tourism industry who relied on generous customers to leave a tip. The hardships of Katrina left him wondering.
I'm not sure what they're going to do about affordable housing for people who are tip-based. And being one of those people who used to be on a tip base is very hard for us.
To bring crowds back to the city streets, Kabakoff lured musicians to live in the neighborhoods nearby.
Everybody was chased out of town, and artists are as poor as anybody else. And so we were thinking, how do we revitalize a neighborhood and provide affordable housing for those in need?
But he ran into some big obstacles in his push to build homes for artists.
The Internal Revenue Service said artists don't qualify for the incentives, affordable housing tax credits.
So he improvised and went to Congress and convinced them to change the rules.
You got to play in the national arena if you're going to stay in the game. And we developed artist housing.
Now musicians, painters, and actors enjoy preferred status, first in line to get a loft and live right next door in a 70,000 square foot artist complex.
And so those are my neighbors.
His advice for other cities looking to capture some of that vibrant color and culture of New Orleans?
Pay attention to neighborhood revitalization. Artist housing was one way. You can use your incentives rather than just developing affordable, pre-qualified for artists, and that can have a stimulative effect on neighborhoods that are struggling.
And that music can stimulate people who are struggling too. It's in those songs where people express their passion, their love for family, for a place to call home. If you listen close, you can almost hear it in the rhythm of the river, the current that carried the Creole crescendo from the Crescent City to the Gateway Arch.
Over the years, St. Louis became known more as a blues town, but it's all American, it's all African American, Black American music, jazz and blues. It's the same, comes from the same place.
Davenport knows most artists will play or paint all their lives and never get to live in the Ritz.
The gap between the haves and the have-nots has become so huge that it's hard for people to see that opportunity to kind of get out of where you're from and get into a better situation.
Art in New Orleans comes in many forms, soothing and serene, disruptive and disturbing, all coming together to show humans can live in harmony when we make a place for the people we value.
That's what this country was supposed to be about.
Reporting in New Orleans, Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.